Good morning and happy new year to all of our listeners. Welcome, welcome. We are so excited to be back in the seats and talking to our viewers and our listeners. Man, it was such an amazing holiday season. And you know what? We are the Real Prosperity Project, and that's because real life happens. And sometimes we got to take a break. So, being the Real Life Prosperity Project, we're here to talk about prosperity in all areas of life. It really encompasses more than just financial success. It includes emotional, physical, social, and spiritual well-being. We are Tanisha and
Beer? Did you
Charlene, and
say
we
beer?
just
Sorry.
I think so. And we want to share our real life experiences and lessons learned with people, how we've overcome challenges and our moments of triumph. We are excited to share our journey with others to support you in cultivating attitudes of belief that foster abundance and growth in our daily life. This is to help develop a mindset of prosperity that not only benefits you, but it also inspires those around you. And that is what we are doing here. I'm Tanisha Tearing, as I said, and this is
Charlene Reedman, and Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. And yeah, it was a bit of a whirlwind through the holidays, and we just couldn't get lined up on our schedules, Tanisha and I. But we are back, and everything's back in our calendar. So here we are.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be back too because as we've said before in previous episodes, this really holds myself accountable. It really helps me keep my mindset positive and it keeps me on track and the ability to just chat with all of you, our viewers, right? And so today's topic is really near and dear to Charlene and I, and something that we've both been working on for our whole lives. And that's shedding toxicity. And I'm really excited to share our thoughts and experiences with you guys today.
Yeah, Tanisha, this is when we were kind of jotting down ideas for today. Toxicity can come in all forms, right?
Mhm.
And so that's what we want to chit chat about. And I don't know, I mean, just do just take a look around in your own situation, and where do you find some things in your life that are toxic, that aren't good for you, that aren't moving you forward? Hey.
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly it. Is those areas can be things like relationships, what you're putting into your body, what you're putting into your mind, just where you're spending your time. So, I mean, we've got a lot of things to go over. And as always, we'd love to hear from you, our audience, in the comments, on our social media pages. Don't be afraid to share your opinions and your experiences about this topic and any other topic on any other podcast. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and I just thought something come to my mind. Anybody out there that's a little bit more techie, we want to do some short clips, and we need some guidance.
Oh, yeah. So if anyone wants to teach us how to make little clips out of our recordings, we would really appreciate
Yeah, exactly. So just throwing that
it.
out there to anyone that's listening that has an idea about technology. We are learning as we go, which is fun, but sometimes the process is a bit long.
Yeah, it can be for sure, for sure. So yeah, speaking of, asking people for help, that's shedding toxicity. Um, if you think about it, trying to do everything by yourself all the time without reaching out for help is a toxic behavior, because we can't do everything all the time. And so if you surround yourself with good people and good relationships, I truly believe that you can reach out for help without feeling awful. And, it's kind of shedding ego, actually, is what
Ooh,
I
that's a
feel it
good
would
one.
be.
Ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, relationships are quite interesting. I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but if you look at the most successful people, they'll probably ask you, or you can ask them, who are the top five in your circle, right?
Mm.
Um, and I think I've said this even previous, when you're raising kids, I always taught my kids, oh, well, it's who you're associating with. So you may not have done what they did, but because that's your top five or top two, you're going to get the blame for whatever they did wrong, regardless.
Yeah, 100%. My dad used to say that growing up. It was, you are who you surround yourself with. And if you're going to hang out with the lawyers and doctors, you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor. If you hang out with the drug addicts and the criminals, you're going to be a drug addict or a criminal. Just because that's, your environment. And he was so right, like 100%. And I truly believe that you said circle, and that made me think, we have like this. If we want to envision a bullseye, right? So you have your inner circle and then you have bigger circles around it. And this is how you can kind of sort your relationships and choose, positive, uplifting people in your environment. Um, just because they're your family doesn't mean they need to be in that inner circle. Just because they're your coworkers doesn't mean they need to be in that inner circle. You can choose who you spend your most of your time with, and that's the lovely thing about life, right? Is we can, it doesn't mean we need to kick them out of our lives, toxic people or toxic relationships, especially if they're family, like sisters, brothers, parents, but they can get moved to outer circles. They can get moved out further so that you spend just a little less time with them, so they affect your mood and your mental health just a little bit less. And when you surround yourself with people that have like vision, like habits, things and goals that you're aspiring to do, well, all of a sudden you're going to create a world where it gets easier and easier to achieve and accomplish those things.
Oh, that made me just think of another thought. So, have you ever come across that one friend that goes through like a boyfriend or girlfriend on a regular basis, and this always happens to them, and this happens to them, and blah blah blah, and then you're like,
Mhm.
hmm, what's the one common denominator in that? So sometimes it's yourself you need to take out of the circle.
Sometimes, actually, that's absolutely right. I agree with you. Sometimes you got to remove yourself from somebody's circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just put them further out in your circle. Yeah. And that's the same, like, I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, and please let us know if you have, but it doesn't have to be a negative thing either, right? Sorting out your relationships and your friend groups and stuff. So I have certain friends where, like, they live the fancy free, carefree, life, and when I want to have a day where I'm like, I don't want to have responsibilities, I go and hang out with them. And then I have that day where it soothes my soul and I get to have a moment, and then I have my really highly motivated, grind, amazing, goal setting friends, and I hang out with them most of the time because that's where I want to go. And then I have my hockey mom friends who I love, and we chit chat, and so you kind of just have these different, I find, like, pools of friends so that I can go and I can feed my soul in all areas.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, I love
No.
that. Yeah, that's really cool. What about this was just an experience for myself, but a workplace toxicity.
Mm. Yeah, workplaces can get really toxic. Tell me about yours, like what, and our listeners, like what was your experience with toxic workplace?
Yeah, it's just everybody understands like vibration. Like
Hmm.
are we the and this is like, are you the soul sucker or are you the soul giver?
Mm.
Right? So I worked for a place where, I mean, as soon as the owners came in, like the whole mood would change, right? Like the whole morale would just come right down. Yeah, and that's hard, right?
Hmm.
I worked with some great people and we had a great time, but then some enters room and then everything, the whole atmosphere, it's like you could cut it the through the air, like that's how thick it was. And
Oh yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that was just one experience. Another one was a larger place I worked at, and it was just so much cattiness and yeah, it's crazy. And you know what? It's even think of it this way. If you had a box of apples and you had one rotten apple, guess what? The
Mm.
whole box is going to go rotten if you don't remove that apple. Just saying.
Oh, I love that. That's exactly it. Yeah. That's a great analogy. Same with those mandarin oranges. I got so many boxes. This was Christmas season. Rotten oranges.
Yeah. And that's what I love about what we do because we can actually pick and choose who we want to be on our teams and, make sure they have that right energy, make sure that they, you know what I mean? They are a good fit for our own business. So that's a
Yes.
cool part about being an entrepreneur. You can really pick and choose who you want to work with.
Yeah, I love it because, yeah, you don't have to walk into your place of work and be like, oh, so and so's here today.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah,
Dang.
no, you get to be like, I got to pick and choose who I work with.
That's
It's the best.
awesome. And then,
And go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, unless you had something else to talk about for the work part of life.
I did. I was actually just gonna mention, I used to work as a manager at a bakery deli for about 4 years of my life, and it was an amazing job, an amazing environment. We all got along really well, except for there was this one person who was just constantly like negative Nelly. You know what I mean? Like they'd walk in and they'd just nitpick every single thing and nothing was good enough, and it just made for such a horrible day when that person was on shift. And eventually that person did get fired, but it was like, don't be that negative Nelly. Go to work with a smile on your face. And if you really hate your job that much that you need to be negative and put everybody else's mood in the dumps, like find something else that inspires you,
Yeah. And that's
like,
and that's one thing I learned from one of my mentors was regardless of what you're doing for your career, do the best that you can do
mhm.
because you have to keep your vibration up so that maybe you can move on and find a new career path,
Yeah,
right?
agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, you and I just had this conversation the other day. I am fully guilty of having negative Nelly moments like that. And in our business, we have amazing training and amazing mentorship. But I was starting to have a really negative attitude towards um one of our evenings because I'm just a busy mom and I have a lot of um stuff going on one evening, and so it was really getting hard to balance everything. And Charlene and I were just talking about it, and why have a negative attitude towards it when you can have just a really positive attitude and then everything goes more seamlessly, because if you start going into that moment with a negative attitude, that allows for chaos to ensue. That allows for everything to start going wrong, right? But if you go in, this is great. You know what? I'm just going to manage all of this. Everything's going to happen seamlessly. And when you have that attitude, well, guess what? The universe provides that for you.
Yeah. And that's the language we talk to ourselves about, right? So, oh,
Yeah.
I get to attend this. I get to, attend this and I get to be a mom,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
just be like, okay, we can do this. We got this.
Yeah. Instead of that either or attitude, and thank you for reminding me of that,
Yeah.
it's that I get to do this at the same time and be there in both aspects, and that's a positive, not a draining negative, as I was starting to go down that route.
Yeah. And
So
it's key tuning just kind of, for people that are maybe entrepreneurs and listening, um, and you remember working at a job, I mean, you wouldn't have had a choice,
yeah.
right? So you get to have a choice to do, where you can do your family stuff and be
Mhm.
running your business at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, it's beautiful, and you know that's part of the roller coaster of life in any workplace, in any career, in any part of life, your health, your wealth, your mental health, your work life, it's a roller coaster, and you have to have those positive, uplifting people around you to help you dig out of your hole and pass you a shovel, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to shovel you out, but they're going to pass you a shovel and help you. And if you're surrounding yourself with toxic people and toxic relationships and toxic mindset things, well, then they're just going to help you dig the hole deeper.
Ooh, I like that. Deep Thoughts by Tanisha.
You
Yes.
know, so you have to surround yourself with friends like Charlene.
You're so sweet. Um, Toxicity can also be in forms of what you're putting into your body.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the Christmas holidays, the runaways. How did we
Yeah.
feel?
How did we feel for sure? Oh my goodness. So, I'll share with our listeners. A lot of you don't know. I have been in several car accidents over the last couple of years. It was just unfortunate timing being a passenger. But this latest one, it really brought all of my chronic health problems to a head. And so since then, I've been trying to heal my body, heal my mind. I've been working with naturopath, doctors, physio, chiro, massage, everybody. And I've been on a specific diet to reduce inflammation in my body. And over Christmas, I said, you know what? I said, why not have a couple of mimosas? It's not a lot of alcohol. And I thought, Santa brought me some Sour Patch Kids, so maybe I'll sit here and have some Sour Patch Kids with my kids. I These things are poison, okay? And you really notice it when you have a condition that causes inflammation. And in taking these things, I literally gained 5 pounds of inflammation and water weight overnight. I couldn't move in the morning.
Like
Everything was
achy
so
joints,
swollen, like
right?
achy,
Yeah.
pain. Literally, my neck was swollen. Like I have a little bit of a double chin, but like it was huge.
Oh my goodness.
And, and I was dizzy. It was like vertigo. I couldn't stand up for 3 days.
That's crazy.
My son had to walk me to the bathroom, holding me up, like helping me. He was like my little crutch. Um, I couldn't even sit and watch TV because the world was just spinning and my blood pressure was low, like 70 over 48, like
Oh, that's
not
slow.
good. And I mean, I talked to my physio afterwards, and this was an inflammatory response. Not everybody has this response to that stuff. That's just what's going on in me. But it really made me realize that putting healthy things into our body is so important because as soon as I started to heal from that, I would say it was like an allergic reaction. I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back on my very strict anti-inflammatory diet, which for me is keto. It really helps heal my body. I am not a medical professional. Please do not take this as medical
Oh yeah.
advice.
This is this disclaimer. These are
Just a
just our
disclaimer, I am not a medical professional.
these are just our
This just
opinions.
works for me. And within 3 days of starting that healthier anti-inflammatory eating for myself, I actually lost 6 pounds. And that was just all water weight and inflammation. That
Yeah.
was not fat loss or anything like that. This is not some miracle cure. It just works for me. So that 5 pounds that I gained, I was able to lose. And now I'm starting to feel better again. I'm starting to get back on that track of trying to heal. Um, but it really was eye-opening to how much sugar and alcohol can affect the system. And there's many other inflammatory substances out there, but that's just what I tried and it did not work for me. And yeah, healthy eating is so important.
Oh, it's yeah, because I listen to quite a bit of or follow a lot of different people through different social media platforms, and actually, this kind of ties into medicine even. So, oh, I should have went back and listened to it again, but I believe it was like the 60s, early 70s. There wasn't a big heart disease. There wasn't a lot of heart issues. And then what happened in the 60s, and it was like fast food, and then we got all the chippices and, blah, blah, blah. And so then they created, medicine. And isn't it interesting, just food for thought? Because, I mean, if you think about it, if you're taking medication, and again, this is just a disclaimer, I'm not a medical professional, but it just made me go, huh. Like, for example, the statin drug or whatever, or any other medications that people have to keep going and refilling their prescription, and it's supposed to cure or help or whatever, but you have to stay on these medications. Some are lifelong, right? So that ties back into nutrition, right? um there's just so many people that have come off their medications because they had an aha moment and chose a healthier lifestyle. And yeah, toxicity can come in all forms.
Mhm.
So again, I'm not saying just quit your medication,
No,
right?
please don't. Please
Yeah,
don't do that. Talk to a medical professional.
yeah,
Work in conjunction with a doctor and a naturopath or a nutritionist or somebody to help you get on a path that's for you.
yeah,
Because there is a lot of blood work and testing and stuff that I have personally done to find what works for me
yeah.
and what is working. So make sure you are doing what is right for you and speaking with professionals.
Exactly. But it's just my observation, and it just, it makes me think about things and open my eyes to a lot of different
Mhm.
ways of life, I guess you could say. And
Yeah.
um, like bread. Let's talk about bread.
This, oh, you're gonna get me fired up today, Charlene.
Yeah. So,
Our
okay, like,
listeners are gonna see a whole new side.
yeah. And I love bread. Don't get me wrong. I mean, bread, it comes in
Mhm.
all forms, right? Like there's so many
Yeah.
yummy breads. But it's just crazy because I was spent a lot of time at my parents over the holidays, and there's bread for breakfast, bread for lunch, and bread for supper. That's a lot of bread. But Tanisha made a good point about bread out in, is it Europe?
It's over in like Europe, Italy, Germany specifically is where I researched that it's actually illegal in Germany to bleach flour. Like the grains that you're grinding into flour, it's illegal to bleach it because of the bleaching process. The processing part of it makes it not good. It's
Yeah,
what causes the inflammatory response. It's what causes all of the issues that are associated with it. And um, you're actually not allowed to enrich your wheats over there either. And North America, we enrich our wheats, and it's next to impossible to find wheat that has not been altered, enriched, or bleached in some fashion. Um, Not that it is impossible, but it's very hard to find that. And I have actually spoken to several people that have, they have celiac, they have an inflammatory response to any form of wheat, barley or rye, pasta, breads, crackers, doesn't matter. They have an inflammatory response here in Canada, and they've gone traveled over to Greece and Italy, or they've gone down south, like past Mexico, below Mexico, and like Belize and Nicaragua and stuff like that, where they don't have those processes, and they can eat bread, they can eat pasta, they can eat crackers, and they have absolutely zero inflammation response.
That's crazy.
And they've been diagnosed with celiac.
Oh, wow. That is like, so there you go. And that's like the toxicity that's in our foods.
Hmm.
So that it lasts longer on our shelves, right?
Hmm.
So that we consume more, probably. And,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we could go down a whole rabbit hole on ingredients.
I get so spicy when it comes to that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's why they have alternatives like the other types of flour, the almond flour. I don't do a lot of baking anymore. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have kids at home to bake for, so and I would just eat it.
Yeah. I mean,
But
it
yeah,
don't even get me started. I just started making my own butter. And the taste is
oh,
so different
that's
from store-bought to homemade. It is crazy.
well, that's something else we were talking about, and about the butter that we buy from the store. And you know how you put it out, we never leave it in the fridge because we want it soft, but then it's in our cupboard and it's still freaking hard. Like it's not super soft. And then that's why like people want to buy the margarine because you can leave it in the fridge and it's soft, which
Mhm.
I don't know. So is it supposed to be soft when it's in the cupboard? The butter? Like your homemade butter, do you keep it in the fridge or do you put it in the cupboard?
Well, I put it in the like I keep it out during the day because we're using it during the day, and I put it in the fridge at night because I there's no preservatives in it and I don't
Yeah.
want it to go rancid. But I only make 1 pound at a time, which is just literally 2 cups of heavy cream and a pinch of salt, and you put it in the food processor until the milk and the buttermilk separates. It's crazy how easy it is. It takes 8 minutes and it's so
Really?
healthy. Yeah, so healthy. Um, comparatively.
Yeah, how are
And
you envisioning using the churner like the good old fashioned days back in,
oh no, I'm not a churner. No way. I just hit a button.
Is there
Um,
preservatives in our butter? I've never even looked.
well, I would assume there is, just because of how long it lasts. I I have found that, and you can go down this rabbit hole
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm
Do the
gonna.
research yourself, please. Don't take me as a professional. I have just looked up some things and found some things that resonated with me. But essentially, if there's a a, a little of amount, like if there's just micro traces of things, I've been told that they don't have to label it. That could be
Interesting.
false information,
Yeah, that's true.
you know. But I didn't really read the butter. I
Yeah,
didn't. But
I'm gonna check that out later.
yeah, you
Then
check that out later. I didn't read the butter package. But I can tell you that the homemade stuff tastes like real cream, and it's beautiful, and you can do inclusions, which is so fun. And yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna try that next week. I'm staying at Kaylee's while they're going to Costa Rica, so she has one of those mixers. I do not, because I don't want to
yeah.
have to do it by hand.
Well, you call me and I'll walk you through it.
Okay,
I'll spend 8 minutes on the phone with you.
perfect. Yeah, so toxicity. So we talk about relationships, workplace, what we put in our body. Even in the medical industry is a bazillion dollar industry. Think
It
about
is.
that. And then lastly, feeding our brain, which kind of tied
Mhm.
back into the relationship part,
Yeah.
because we have control of our thoughts.
Hmm.
So we have to control what is being put into our brain. Like we can either decide to keep them or reject them. That's up to us, right?
Hmm.
So what's your self-talk? And what are you listening to? I mean, I listen to not CNN specifically, but I do watch little news clips here and there because I do want to see what's going on. I mean, gosh, have you seen those poor people in California losing all their
Oh,
houses? Oh,
that's so devastating. I prayed for them last night. I just,
yeah.
I hope that. Mother Nature takes over and just puts it out. Like that's just devastating
Yeah.
what's going on down there.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking. But,
Hmm.
but I'm not watching that 24/7, you know.
No.
But so through all of this, if you follow like an 80/20, 80% good as best you can, and 20% of, oh, I'm going to have that sugar and mimosas, right? So the 80/20.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I should say that for our listeners and our viewers. This is not saying that you can't enjoy a piece of chocolate cake or you can't have a mimosa on Christmas. I have extreme health conditions, so I have extremes right now. Um, but life is about enjoying things in moderation.
Oh,
If,
that's good. Yeah.
if you are 80% of the time healthy. You get up, you go for a walk, or you move your body in some way, and you make sure you're staying hydrated and you're putting good whole foods in your body. There is no reason that when you go over on your trip to Greece that you can't indulge and wake up and have a drink on the beach. And, like that is life. I mean, it's meant to be enjoyed. That's part of shedding the toxicity and learning moderation, learning how to enjoy things
Yeah.
and not be negative, right? So moderation is key. Enjoy your life, smile, be happy, feed your
Well,
with good things, feed your body with good things, and feed your life and your relationships with good, positive relationships. So
yeah,
that when those trigger moments happen, you have things that uplift you so that you're not digging a hole.
100%. That was
Yeah.
awesome. Awesome. Well, I think that I am very grateful to be back because this has really put me in a really great mood.
Awesome. I'm really happy to be back too.
And I wish everybody all the best for 2025. Let's make it the best year possible and many more years to come after that, of course.
Mhm. Yeah. You know what? I don't know about anybody else, but I kind of felt like 2023 and 2024, it was like New Year's hit, and I was like, it's gonna be a good year. I'm gonna force it to be a good year. And I was very passionate about it being a good year. I was gonna accomplish this. It was my year, but it felt so forceful. And I don't know if anybody else had this experience, but coming into the holiday season and 2025, I had this sense of peace, this sense of just calm where I was like, this really is moving into a great year. I see amazing things coming for so many people. I just feel this like sense of relief. It's almost like the stars aligned differently. And it was, it was just this like, things are going well. I'm grateful. I see beautiful things happening. And so it wasn't like this forceful push. And so I really feel like a lot of people are going to find their sense of peace this year,
Oh, I love that.
you
That's
know?
awesome. Yeah, I can't even believe what's today, the 8th already.
Ninth.
Oh, it's the 9th. See, I'm already
It's the
missing a
ninth.
day. Holy cow.
Wow.
Like we're almost halfway through January.
Someone I follow on Instagram, Adam Daw, amazing, incredible person. Um, him and his wife are just, I love them. Their kids are so cute. But anyway, he said, we are a third of the way through the year.
Oh my gosh.
Are you a third of the way through your goals? And I was
Um,
like, uh-oh.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, it's already the 9th, and it's kind of, oh,
Or not a
holy,
third of the way. Sorry, I said third of the way. I meant 3% of the
oh,
way.
okay, 3%. That makes more sense. But it is. It's like the 9th, and do you ever have that? And this can be a toxic thing in your life. It's like, well, that's okay. I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, that's okay. I'll do it tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, you're like me, and I'm like, oh my god, it's the 9th already. Holy smokes.
Isn't that the truth?
Right? Well,
Yeah.
you guys, thanks for listening. Please comment, please subscribe, share it with your friends. I can't wait, to be honest, at the end of 2025 and look back at our episodes and see how far we've come. I think it's going to be amazing.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? That is going to be an incredible moment, Charlene. Yep.
Yep.
Looking back and watching all of our growth, because we're growing daily too. And, our listeners and viewers in the comments seeing their growth. Um, and I think I can't wait to see that. Not that would be. I can't wait to see that and look back on that. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you all for listening. We really appreciate you. Subscribe and follow and share is the best way that you can support us, even if you can't listen to the whole episodes. We love you all, and we're glad that you were able to listen to part of us talking here today, and hopefully every Thursday all the way to next year.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day.